What's up, modern drummer? My name is Carlin White. I'm the drummer for Lana Del Rey, and this is my tour kit rundown. I'm playing Mapex. Every drum here is Mapex. This is the Design Lab Cherry Bomb system. For the rack tom, we have a 12-inch, 12 by 8, I believe. The floors, this is a 16-inch floor tom, 16 by 14, I believe. And the last tom is an 18 by 16. My snares, my main snare is the Heartbreaker snare, 14 by 6. And the Solidus Mapex snare, this is a 7 by 14. Skins, all Evans. I have the UV1s on my rack tom. And then on the floor, I have the UV EMADs on my floor tom. Kick drum is the EMAD coated. My main snare is the Evans heavyweight. And on my side snare, I have the Evans hybrid. Big fat snare drum, donut, on my main snare. And then I have the cloths for my floor toms that I use on certain songs. All my hardware is Mapex as well, Falcon. And then cymbals, we have Zildjian. My hi-hats is a 14-inch Constantinople's. My crash here on the left is a cluster crash, 20-inch. And we have a Vetus, classic. You know, I wanted this because the great Buddy Rich used to play these. Then as for my splash, we have a AEFX, 10-inch. My ride is Constantinople as well. This is a 22-inch, medium thin low. Then we have one of my favorite crashes, might be my favorite, Crash of Doom. I play this as a rod sometimes as well, 20-inch. And then we have a stack over here that Kirsten threw together for me. It has a AEFX on top. In the middle is a spiral. And then on the bottom is a KEFX. Okay, as for electronics, We have Roland SPDX SX Pro, and for my aux pads, we use the PD8s. I have two here on the left, two on the right. I have a KT10 kick pedal right here next to my main pedal, and then on the kick drum I have a RT30 trigger on the kick drum. So here we have these beautiful see-through things right here. This is by Smoking Ace. These are shields that block out the bleed that may bleed into the mic, the vocal mic. So yeah, shout out to Smoking Ace with these beautiful shields that are pretty seamless. That sits in well and is not an eyesore for the viewers here. You know? And sticks. So I usually use 5As, but on this gig I'm playing 7As because I don't really dig into the drums that much on this gig. I don't have to, which I actually love. So these are Vic Firth 7As. We have some mallets. I don't know which ones are these because it's rubbed off, but yeah, mallets. And we have some bamboo sticks, Vic Firth also. And you know, I do a little brushing every now and again too. You know, still working on it. I'm not a master, but I'm still working on that. But a little brush every now and again. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. Oh, back to the electronics. So there's a specific way I like to set up my pads and triggers to where it makes sense. So say we have verse and a chorus, right? And I'm playing triggers for both, and say the sounds are different. I like to set my verses on the left side, and I like to set my choruses on the right side. You know, and that's depending on if I'm using triggers that already take up, you know, these two pads. If both pads are available for verse and chorus, then I'll do verse here, chorus here. You know, so that's typically how I do my setup. If I'm alternating between verse and chorus for electronic kick to main kick, I'll probably play just the KT10 for my verses, and then switch to the live kick with the trigger for choruses. So yeah, that's a little way I set it up. How they operate here, I don't have to do much touching with the buttons because everything is synced to the playback. So pretty much hands-free, but I have it set up here just in case stuff crap out. You know, Roland has this beautiful set list button here where I could just, you know, pop into my set list, boom, and I have everything already set in order. So I can do it manually if anything happens. So I'm still in control, even though I'm not in control, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much it. So when I got the call, they were like, yeah, it was on I want to say a Saturday. Well, they dropped the bug on my ear on a Friday, and then it was confirmed Saturday. And I just got through learning like a bunch of songs for some gig I did that week. So I was like, okay, until they confirm, I'm not going to try to learn anything else. So when we had a conversation that Saturday, they were like, yeah, how fast can you learn music? And I'm just like, well, how fast do you need me to learn it? It's like, by Monday. I'm like, okay, well, that's what it is. If I want the gig, I gotta, you know, show up, you know. So I stayed up for pretty much until Monday. I gotta go to sleep. I maybe slept maybe like 2 hours, and I just studied the music every day. Like I went to my workspace, I played, stayed there all day, played. I did like the first, you know, 5 songs. It was like almost 30 songs they probably sent me. So I probably did like 5 songs at a time. So I start with 5 songs, run those back, run it back, run it back, run it back. Once I felt comfortable, then I move on to the next 5. Once I lock in the first 5, I go to the first 5. Once I lock in the second 5, the second group of 5, I go back to the first 5, review those and see how I'm feeling with that, and then I review the second 5, and then I move on to the next. So it was a rough day and a half, 2 days up until rehearsal. And I make my notes and stuff. Like I don't necessarily write charts, but I write notes out. I have my own system to where, you know, I can, you know, look to them and know, only I would know what my notes are saying, you know. But that's kind of how I had to prepare for this situation. And once I got into, you know, came in for the rehearsal and had to be ready, day 1, day 2 as well, I just kept reviewing for that week until I got comfortable with all 30 songs. So
what's your system look like?
I really can't explain it. It's kind of like my own language. Like I would like okay, so I would use certain songs for example. Like I would say if we're playing, you know, if a song reminds me of a specific like hip hop beat or something, I will put, you know, you know, Busta Rhymes type beat, you know, and that'll like take me to the pattern. But I know the feel is not Busta Rhymes, but it would like, cool. I know this is the pattern. If I don't fully know the song yet, I would use that as like, you know, my way to remember the song, you know. And then even on notes, I'll be like, I would say something like, you know, kick 3 times, you know, like it don't really make like if you look at it, you be like, what does this even mean? But for me, it's like my own system to where it's like, okay, I understand what's happening, you know. And I don't usually write notes, but for this situation, I had to because it was a day and a half to learn songs I've never heard before, you know. So obviously, this genre, this style of music is about understanding the style of music, you know, being sensitive to the songs, you know. The only difficult part was retaining that many songs, you know, and remembering songs when they call it out. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna do Cherry, and I'm just like, what's that? I don't know what song that is. Let me hear it real quick. Or I look at my notes and be like, oh yeah, think D'Angelo. How does it feel? Type beat. Even though it doesn't feel like that, but that would help me remember. Like, okay, I know the song. You know, I got it. So yeah, that was the hard part, just remembering the names of the songs and you know retaining them. I've learned most or all of these songs pretty much from like the live approach. So when I went back to like listen to some of the records, I'm like, oh, it's slightly different. Like it's more live driven. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, working with her, she's a beautiful person. She's brilliant. She knows her stuff. She knows when something ain't right. You know, so I appreciate that about her too, because she keeps us true to the music. You know, so yeah. Cool. Thank you, Modern Drummer. I hope you enjoyed my tour kit setup. And yeah, hope to see you at a show.